Now in the performance, obviously apart from the basic nerve things and controlling your mindset through the thought process, a particular aspect is required. While writing an answer, there are certain things, if you have generated, if you have created, if you have thought over, you can always get much more marks than the normal writing. Everybody knows, I am not going into the detail of that, structure of the question, answer. Introduction, body parts, and conclusion. In any of the college going exam, body parts is far, far more important. If you know body parts, you can easily get good marks, 60%, 65%, 70%. Here, body parts is definitely important. But to score, say, 6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10, 7 out of 10, body parts can never you fetch that marks. So, howsoever beautifully you have written it. You can score 4, 5 at the most out of 10. Where you can score more is introductory part and conclusion part. Now, introduction is basically all about the past of the topic. Body part is basically the present of the topic. What actually has been asked in the examination. And conclusion is futuristic. How do you see the topic in the future? In a nutshell, I would like to discuss about it and how to enrich your answers through introduction and body parts. First, there are confusion among the mind of the student that should there be introduction of a topic. Now, let me ask you, introduce yourself. Yes.
My name is Shahrukh Sheikh. I'm from Nagpur.
No. Can you understand? What is your name? My name is whatever it is, finish. You don't have any scope to speak anything other than that. Introduce yourself, it is subjective answer. So, if the question asked in the examination hall is very straightforward, you don't need to introduce it. Hope you are getting my point. What is your name? My name is Shamim Anwar, finished. You don't have any scope to write about the history of your naming, what your father wanted, what your grandfather wanted, what your mother wanted, but your grandmother has greater importance in your family, so she put name as Shamim Anwar. No. Introduce yourself. You have every scope to think about, you have every scope to speak about. But in the introduction, you generally say about your past. You come from Tamil Nadu, you have your background, you have academic background, you are preparing. You didn't say anything about what you are going to be in the future, what you are planning in the future. Right? So, introduction is more about past. And you need to have that level of smartness and intelligence to differentiate whether an introduction is required in the question or not. But once an introduction is required, and which type of questions will be requiring introduction? Where the questions are discuss, analyze, examine, elaborate, substantiate. That means the question has enough amount of scope to give a proper introduction to wrapping up a gift. Right? And if you have done justice with that, even let's say 10 out of 15 questions or 12 out of 20 questions, that is more than sufficient. Anything whatever we are discussing, you should not be rigid about that. For example, in introduction, every question should not have an introduction. You should not show rigidity into your approach. Examiner should not feel that you are not flexible, you are like a parrot who has crammed up something and trying to imitate that. Then you are not showing the smartness required to become a civil servant. Right? For example, diagrams. Many of the students, even the teachers, would suggest you that each and every question must have 3-4 diagrams. I really feel it's a complete nonsense. In a question where diagram is needed, give 4 or 5 diagrams. But in a question where diagram is not needed, you don't need to give even a single diagram. That is basically requiring or fulfilling the requirement of question rather than following a rigid method. Following a particular method told by someone is basically put everything which enhances, enriches your answer. Don't give anything just for the sake of giving it. It shouldn't appear as a patchwork. It should be having a flow. It must be having relevancy. It must be having continuity. Your flow of thought is far, far more important than giving 5 diagrams unnecessarily into it. Give one diagram only which definitely gives an impression to your answer. If you are having a mind as 3 diagrams, this must be given. And the question is about regional disparity and smart. Tell me, how can you give 3 diagrams? I'm giving you because this is the normal perception in the market among the students. Unnecessary bothering yourself. Then again you are showing certain level of rigidity, certain level of user information of application of, not application of knowledge, rather just putting huge amount of knowledge. You are not showing your administrative ability. So don't be rigid about whatever we are going to talk. I'm just giving you clue, wherever necessary, wherever you feel that fine, it can help you out. It can enrich your answer. It can definitely add some beauty in your answer. Apply it, otherwise don't apply it. So in general, whenever you start introduction, it is all about the past of the topic. Now, how to introduce? Ask a question about simply what, why. That means, what is it? What is generally definition? If I am asking, discuss the plate tectonic theory. So what is a plate tectonic theory? So you define it. So whenever you ask what is it, is nothing more than the definition of the topic. Now again you have to be smart enough to write a definition and not to write a definition, to decide right in there in the examination hall. If the definition again is somewhat having some value, define it. Otherwise don't define it. Right? This is basically again an aspect generally we have been following in our college days also. Here, why is far more important in introduction than what? Very often, or sometimes you can mix what and why both. Now what do you mean by why? And why is so important in civil service examination? Why should I study this topic as a civil servant? You'll see that there is a trend, and very much visible in general studies as well, that there will be few areas where questions will be framed on a very regular interval. If you have, say, hundreds of topics mentioned in the syllabus, 15 to 20, you can see regular questions from those areas. You can easily understand this aspect from general studies. Let me tell you about, let's say, economy. Economy, the word economy, what should be the most important area? As a subject of economy, banking, finance, taxation system, say money market, capital market, stock exchanges. These are the core of economy. We will see questions from where? Agriculture, industry, water resources, employment generation, poverty alleviation and all. You will see regular questions from these areas and rare questions from the core of the economy. If you see Indian Constitution or say polity, what is the most important area? Legislation. So the parliament should have been the core of the question. The money bill and this bill, that bill, the passage of the bill, the process of those things. What the questions will be asked from? Fundamental rights, directive principle of state policy. So which has social touch will be the core and the center of topics for the examiner to ask questions. Similarly, if you see in the geography also, in any optional which has greater human touch, the questions will be framed from there. That will be the core areas. So why should I study the topic? The moment you say why, it is nothing but the importance of the topic. Importance of the topic. Why it is so important to study. Now, importance of the topic with respect to two things. As a subject matter and importance of the topic with respect to humans. Now, here you have three areas. Definition of the topic plus impact of the topic or importance of the topic with respect to subject, impact of the topic with respect to humans. Very often, if you have developed the ability, you can write 15 to 20 words to write all these three. It's not necessary to go in elaboration about each aspect. Just try to have a bit of mentioning into it. Let me say earthquake or say cyclone. Any such topic which has definitely has direct bearing on the human being, and you'll see regular questions on these areas. So earthquake, if you want to define, earthquake is a disaster faced by humanity. So you have, the moment you have used word disaster, you have talked about the impact of topic, importance of topic. Now, with respect to subject, earthquake, study of earthquake not only helps in better understanding of the interior of the earth, but also help in reducing its negative impact on human beings. Hopefully we are understanding. So these three aspects, for optional subjects, this is an important aspect. And for general studies, this is more important. For optional, you should try to bring the importance of the topic with respect to the subject matter. Let's say plate tectonic theory, right? So discuss the role of plate tectonic theory in explaining mountain buildings. It's a very straightforward question. Imagine while you are studying only, once you have read it, imagine that plate tectonic theory is not there, has not been propounded, has not been discussed, and you don't have plate tectonic. What will be the nature of geomorphology? We'll miss out so many things, isn't it? So many things. I don't think there is any topic which is more important than plate tectonics for geography, for geomorphology at least. Try to mention that in your own language. If you're writing about plate tectonic theory, write about plate tectonic theory is heart and soul of geomorphology, which has so scientifically explained and unfurled various mysteries of a multifarious subject like geography. Understanding of plate tectonic theory has let us understand so many other things. For example, volcanism, presence of earthquake, intensity, magnitude and all. Again, it helps in reducing the negative impact of it. Hopefully we are getting.